Okay, first I would like to thank everybody for coming out to our Violence Against Women panel class. Today we were going to ask you a series of questions. You may take a minute to think about what you want to say, and then we are just going to have an open dialogue.
First, would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Shelby Long. I am a junior political science major, management organization minor from Wilmington, North Carolina.
Cameron Gadsden, junior political science major at Washington, D.C.
I'm Alice Burton, a junior political science major, economic minor from Long Island, New York.
I'm Joshua Morrow, a junior finance major from Chicago, Illinois.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So the first question says, define gender violence in your own words. Do you think gender violence is normalized?
Does anyone have any idea what gender violence is?
I would say like violence against genders, but that's very straightforward. So it could be verbal, physical, maybe mental, violence of that nature, but it does against various genders.
Anybody else?
I agree.
I just feel like it is normalized because it's a lot of it's very common in the conversations that we have today in different spaces. I think that a lot of times people are especially specific ethnicities and races, to have specific if you're a young black woman, you're gonna have sexual assault by a certain age. I feel like it's a part of the status quo of our life.
I think that gender roles partake in that as well. So women always being looked at as mothers and domesticated in the house, versus men going out and working hard and then coming home and expecting certain things of women, has also played into the power dynamics between the genders.
Anybody else for that question? No? Okay. So gender violence is used to denote harm inflicted upon individuals and groups that are connected to normative understandings of their gender. So violence against women just because they're women, and the belief that women are inferior to men, whether it's scientifically or just through social relations and norms.
So we can also see this in just binaryisms when you talk about society in general, so female, male, woman, man, or even just different microaggressions that lead up to different larger social structures. So it can be as small as mansplaining or catcalling, harassment, and it can go all the way up to different things such as rape. So this is just to kind of warm y'all up for the next couple of questions, and just to say we don't expect y'all to understand everything. So this is just a safe space where you can say whatever you feel and whatever comes to you. So moving on to question number 2. Do you comply with sex role socialization? And then we're just going to give you all a little bit of an example so you can understand it in real life terms. So for the guys, do you believe that women should be submissive?
Wow. No.
You can expand on your answer.
Okay, let me ask you, in your own personal relationship, would you expect a woman to be submissive? So when I say submissive, I'm not talking about you come home and she has a meal made and she just agrees with everything you say. Mm-hmm. I mean submissive in the sense that you are the dominant figure in the relationship. Do you expect that?
I feel that in a relationship, it takes two. So yeah. we both gotta be the dominant one for each other, because we both gotta hold each other accountable, hold each other accountable.
Okay.
Yeah, Josh really explained it.
Okay, so we're gonna ask the women now. Do you believe that you are supposed to be submissive in a relationship?
No.
Have you ever found yourself being submissive?
I have.
Not intentionally.
Yeah.
I think that it's an unsaid thing, and men assume the role, even though it's not something that you've had a whole discussion about. It's just something that happens over time, and you may notice it, you may not even notice it. It really just depends on the dynamic of the relationship.
Okay. So Sher talks about sexual coercion in society, and one of the main things that she talks about is the way that men are socialized to think that they should coerce women into sexual activity or just activities in general. So kind of what you were saying. So for example, like, you know, if a guy's like, oh, well, I'll pick you up and I'll take you out to eat, but like,
You gotta do something to get fed.
would you identify that as coercion?
Yeah, but
Yes.
it's like Alex said, it's very subtle. Like, it's things that we never knew. Like, I've always been picked up on dates and taken out. Like,
And the
I've
guy
never-
paid for the
Right, but it's never like, I think until I got to college, when I offered to drive somewhere, it was weird. Like, no, you can't possibly drive to a date, so things like that.
Okay.
Okay, so our next question is, and you can answer this however you like. On a daily basis, how often do you think about being in danger?
And by in danger, we mean from like physical assault, sexual assault, rape, attacked.
I don't think about it too often on a daily basis, to be quite honest.
Do you think you know why you don't have to think about that?
Have you ever thought about like the meaning behind that?
I mean, I've not thought about the meaning, no.
Okay.
I wouldn't, on a daily basis, I do not think about violence or violence being taken on me in that type of manner. Have I ever thought about it? No, but thinking about it now, I guess it's just because, like, it's never brought up as men are sexually assaulted all the time. So, like, men, be careful, men, make sure you're safe and all that. So it's just more of, even though it does happen, it's never like take these precautions to be safe. So it's just I just go about my way. I'm not.
Mm-hmm. Shelby, Alice.
I say that I feel more in danger now, especially since I don't live on campus. I don't have my own car, and if I'm not getting picked up by a friend, like, I'm alone. I'm walking alone. I'm getting in an Uber, and if the Uber driver's a man, like, oftentimes I'm just frightened, and like, I share my location with people. I always have had someone who knows where I am and knows what I'm doing. Just for the occasion that something does happen to me, I want to know that someone will know what's going on. And that's a constant fear that just we have to live with, unfortunately.
Alex worded it very well. Alice worded it very well, sorry.
Okay, we brought up that question because in one of our classes we just discussed, like, personally, some fears I have on a daily basis, maybe not daily, but enough where it's kind of scary, is like, what if I'm ever raped? What if I'm ever sex trafficked or kidnapped, or like different things like that? That's just things women have to think about on a daily basis because of the patriarchal society that we live in, and like the social norms and how men are supposed to be dominant and women supposed to be submissive. Next question: what does sexual terrorism mean to you?
Isn't it like the kind of like on a larger scale of like different acts of like gender violence? Like you talked about earlier, how like a fear you had of like rape on women, like the constant, like, I think when people think of terrorism, they think of something big, like you have to like bomb a building, and that's not true. Because that's like terrorism that we see even in our communities being catcalled could definitely be a form of sexual terrorism.
Sorry, go ahead.
I agree with Shelby. I think sexual terrorism could be a very simple thing that just escalates into rape culture. And pretty much I would associate sexual terrorism with rape culture, and how it's very easy that women are taken control of, and we don't really have a voice in what happens to us. And it's just unfortunate.
Cam and Josh, do you have anything?
They hit it on the head.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Okay. Sheffield, the author of Sexual Terrorism, defines sexual terrorism as a system which males frightened, and by frightening, control and dominate females. And so, like Shelby said, typically we think about terrorism as in like attacks against a country or something that causes mass social disruption. But Sheffield will argue that sexual terrorism is an ordinary event for women. Like, we go through this every single day, and it also causes social disruption amongst women. But we're forced to change our behaviors and how we act. Do y'all agree that sometimes because of the fears you have, you feel like you have to change your behaviors, like in different social settings or something like that, or like you want to cover up in certain areas or something like that?
you want to give like an example?
Yeah, go ahead.
I would give my trip in Morocco, like, that's the best example I can think of. When, like, we would go in certain parts of town, we weren't allowed to wear certain things. Like, I would always have to make sure I had a jacket with me. Even, like, short sleeves were bad. Like, I had to wear, like, 3/4 sleeves. So, it was crazy because people, like, it was different because in different areas of a Muslim country, people expected, like, it to be worse in this area, worse in that area. But it's like, people weren't catcalling me like there because I was a woman, but they were catcalling me because I was like a darker color. So like it comes in like different forms.
I was gonna give an example of like just going out at the gas station, like getting out of the car at the gas station. I dread that. I don't even like pumping my own gas for the sole fact that like if I get out, I know that there's gonna be a man trying to talk to me, and I'm just forced to be nice because at that point I don't want them to attack me or do anything to me. So having to be nice to men who I know don't deserve this from me, or they don't even deserve my attention, but giving them attention so that they don't.
The survival.
Exactly.
Which is so scary that like we can't even pump gas without like something happening. I remember I was like, I had to bring my friends with me, and even when I had friends with me, it was like 4 of us in the car. They were still going crazy. I was like, I don't need help. He was like, oh, your place in North Carolina. I was like, okay, thank you. He was like, I got it for you. Oh, okay, thank you. It was like, okay, when I said it the first time, leave me alone. Like, you just don't understand that.
And some men don't take no for an answer.
Which also leads to different violences against women, like rape or sex trafficking or anything like that. Any more comments for this question?
Just to add on to it, I definitely understand because just as a male, I've definitely been contacted by women friends, whether it be back home or here in the AUC, just to run little errands for them or even just pump their gas because I understand just what they're going through.
Yeah, same as Cam, it's always been times. If I'm with a female friend of mine, or a woman friend of mine, I always pump gas for them. It's never they get out the car. It's like, I'll just do it for you because there's no point.
And just to talk a little bit more about the chapter within itself, because I know y'all didn't get to read it, but Sheffield goes as far as to like explain the difference between political terrorism and sexual terrorism. So she talks about how political terrorism is when there's like a clear indicator of like the terrorist and the victim, whereas when we're talking about sexual terrorism, the woman is always at like scrutiny for her attack. So she's always, well, why were you there? What were you wearing? What were you doing? And even in some cases, there's more sympathy with the male or the male attacker in the situation. So this just goes to talk about how like sexual violence is a continuum that is supported, fed, and functioned through our superstructures in society. And just the way that all of these different components like work within a system and through like patriarchal ideology, this is how it's functioned throughout society. So that seems so normalized like when you all talk about it.
Can y'all try to guess what is the greatest predictor for interpersonal violence? Like what is the like y'all know like domestic violence?
Oh, thanks.
Interpersonal violence is the new term being used because domestic violence only talked about same-sex relationships,
Okay.
and like intimate relationships, and interpersonal violence talks about things that can happen within a family, between like parent and child and different things like that.
And can you repeat the question here?
What is the greatest predictor for interpersonal violence?
Would it be like the words, like conversation? I feel like that's a good indicator of people.
Yeah.
Manipulation?
Okay. Y'all two can guess. Well, I'm gonna tell y'all the answer, but like y'all two can guess.
Yeah, manipulation, coercion.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just being like a position of power.
Yeah, dominance.
It's actually being born a female.
Oh.
What?
Well, that explains a lot.
Wow.
So ponder that for the rest of the video.
What?
Yeah. Okay. So moving on to the next question. Edward Scher, author of Sexual Coercion in American Life, suggests that there are 4 general factors that contribute to sexual coercion: depersonalization, the persisting devaluation and sexualization of women, persuasive socioeconomic inequality, and cultural induced habitation to force and violence. Do you feel that sex is depersonalized?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Would you like to explain?
I made the option to not have sex. At first it was until marriage. I believe now it's still until marriage. But it was like when I was in high school, I had a bet placed on my virginity. Like the fact that like it's so common to like, oh yeah, like it's gonna be so easy, and the fact that like, oh, people are like, it's like literally people say it's just sex, like it has no like tie, and I think it kind of makes sex lose its intimacy because it's like if it's just sex and you're willing to do it with everyone, it's not really as personal.
I completely agree with what she said. I feel like for her, sex would be different. Like it would mean something, but I can see for maybe other people, I'm not gonna say I can see, but for other people, maybe like a majority population, it is, or in this society now, it is these personalized. That's the word I wanted. It's the personalized, and I just think because that's just the culture of what we're like. The culture right now, that could just be movies, that could be music, that could just be even conversations with your friends. Because like high school conversations with my friends growing up, just men growing up being surrounded by that is very.
So growing up, what did they tell you? Like, what did they say about you losing your virginity?
They was like, you gotta. It was more.
You gotta do it as soon
as possible.
Yeah, it was
like,
more just like do that.
Just do it.
Just like just do
it.
Like,
just do it.
And girls are told the complete opposite. Like, keep your legs closed. Why are you being fast? And like, you're automatically assumed. Like, if you have gained boobs or a butt at a young age, you're automatically assumed to be sexually active. And it's like, how would we have the control to even do that? And I think it also has to do with your environment. Like, I know for college students right now, like, sex is very depersonalized for us. And that's because you oftentimes assume, like, if I'm having sex with someone, they're probably more than likely having sex with someone else on this campus. And that's just how it is, unfortunately.
But it's like, kind of like what you said when you were like, if girls get a boob or a butt, like boobs or a butt, they'd be like, oh, she's automatically sexual. Like, I have people who say that, still don't believe I haven't had sex yet. But it's like, why don't you? I'm sitting here telling you, like, I have not had sex.
It's
like,
because
why do you not believe me?
It's because of the objectification of a woman's body. From an early age, we are like, at like 8 or 9, we got to stop wearing certain clothes because she getting her boobs growing in or her butt getting big. Why are you sexualizing a 9-year-old child? And so that plays, like, the objectification of women and treating sex as a commodity plays a major role in violence against women in today's society, in different cultures. It's not just in America. It's wherever patriarchy is prevalent as the main ideology.
And I think people think it's automatically men who think that way, but I've had like women family members that like will go nuts. Like, girl, you ain't having sex? Girl, you better go. I'm like, what? Like, you telling me I have to have sex to be as a 20-year-old if I don't have sex? Like, that's just so taboo. Like, it's crazy.
So, Edward Scher goes farther in his chapter to talk about like our perception of sex and sexual relations is distorted through what we understand them to be. So all of these things we're all grown up and socialized to understand sex is just something where you're obtaining something or you're almost and sometimes taking something in the case of like rape. However, the reason that we all think that way is due to like the ideology of patriarchy that we talked about earlier. So whether you're conscious of it or not, you're maneuvering the world in a specific way because you think things are functioning that way, if that makes sense to y'all. So do y'all think, going off of that depersonalization leads to more violence within sex?
Yes, definitely.
Because back to your point, you were saying like men are obtaining something, but at the same time, women are losing something. Like, women are losing their virginity, or they're losing even just their rights to their own body when they're raped.
Just to touch on virginity, what do y'all think? So we always speak of like women losing their virginity, but what about like young boys? Like, what about males? Like, what is the rhetoric around their virginity? Because we don't ever say, oh, he's losing his virginity or he's supposed to keep his virginity. Like,
do guys even have virginity at this point?
Technically, yes. They do. They do.
Like, my brother's young, and I remember the first time he was like, "Oh yeah, I hate it, huh?" Like, as a little boy with 2 older sisters, like, that's what you want to come to me and say? But it's just like, it was nothing for him. He was like, in his head, it was more focused on like, "Oh yeah, I just took her virginity," instead of the fact that I just lost mine too.
And
I think that's how they word it too. Like, I took someone's virginity, not that I lost mine.
a lot of men that I know, they actually take pride in just taking virginity.
Oh my God.
It's actually ridiculous, but.
So, in contextualizing men's violence, the personal meets the political, Michael Kimball goes on to talk about this, and he basically talks about how men have this sense of entitlement. So you know how you say like, oh, well, I took her virginity, as if it was something for you to obtain or like have property of. And he said that this is dispersed throughout society in a lot of different ways of like this power struggle. So you have this entitlement to something that's not yours, but you want so much power because you feel powerless as a young boy. Because it's like growing up, you're hearing these different things of like, okay, I have to lose my virginity, I have to do this, I have to perform. So once you finally get the chance to have that power, there's almost like some satisfaction within having that power, so that you keep reaching for it as if it's like a high to keep going at. And he goes farther to talk about how that plays into like economic autonomy, and I don't know if y'all know what that is, but it's just like basically economic freedom. So a lot of times he basically says that there's a certain category of men. So you're young, you're in your 20s, you're searching for economic mobility to just be on top. So you have this like sense of urge to just rush for this sense of control over something. So this one's more for the guys. Like growing up, did you ever feel powerless or as if you were going to be scrutinized if you didn't do certain things?
Coming up, yeah, for sure. Just to touch on the virginity part again, definitely scrutinized for that at times. Like throughout high school, just like as I mentioned before, they're like, just do it. Just there's really no stress in it. Just let it happen. And yeah, definitely caught some smoke for that. And yeah.
Okay.
No, that's definitely true coming up. And that just goes back to peer pressure in a way. Like, that's basically what it is. And it's just, it's just your environment. So whatever's happening in your environment and you ain't doing what they doing, like, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like, you ain't, it's all about your environment at the end of the day.
But in the same breath, you gotta stay true to yourself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, exactly.
Just follow your character.
Last and final question. For anyone, but specifically for the guys, when y'all see like guys perpetrating violence against women, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically, or any what kind of form of violence, do y'all step in, or y'all like, not my monkey, not my service?
So you're saying if I'm right there in the situation, I see it, am I
or
stepping in?
if you know about it, do you act,
If
or
it's
are
someone
you a
close.
bystander?
Oh, someone close to me, definitely.
Yeah.
For sure, but I phrased that wrong.
Okay.
I phrased that wrong. If it was anyone in general, if I was there and I witnessed it, yes, I feel like I would step in. And if I knew,
Even if you didn't know them?
If I didn't, yes.
But to what degree would it have to be for you to intervene? For you to be like, all right, this needs to stop?
It would have to be a pretty crazy situation, for sure.
Okay.
Just, it's obviously escalating.
Yeah,
And
okay.
I'm gonna be honest with myself. I'm the complete opposite. Yes, I care. Yes, like it's a problem. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna do nothing, but like Cam said, it's a degree.
Mhm.
So if I don't know the situation, nor do I know the people in the situation, it's gonna be hard for me to put myself and just add myself in the situation. But it's all situational, and it all depends on what's happening in that. What's happening between those two people. That's really what it is.
Allison, Shelby, you got anything to say to that?
I would step in as a woman as much as I could, but I've been in a situation where it's like literally gone left, and I'm like, okay, like this is more than I can deal with right now, and kind of tap into somebody else.
I've definitely have been in some situations and like maybe not getting involved directly myself, but I've had to call the police for people before. So it's not always you as a person, but you just doing something, or at least making sure and asking the person if they're okay. If I'm able to ask the person if they're okay, and maybe they give me an answer, maybe they don't, it at least they know someone
Cares.
has witnessed it and someone cares.
Do y'all have any final thoughts of any question?
Oh, you've been great.
No, this is
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank y'all again for helping us with this video for our class.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.